And we're about to begin our morning mentorship call. First, it's the first day of our brand new book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, How to Lose Your Mind and Create a New One. Absolutely powerful. You know, there's a certain, and you'll see as we go through this. Basically, I like to sum this up. We're going to talk about a physical world and really a spiritual world. Okay. So when we really go into this book, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about a physical world and the spiritual world. And the question that the majority of people have, and we have this ideology in our head, is does our environment affect us or do we impact our environment? I think that was the overall consensus of what I got from this chapter starting off. And so what it brought to mind was some scriptures also. You know, you guys heard this before. Do not be conformed by the things of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So that was scripture that came to mind as I was looking at this. It's like, wow, way before. Okay, this has been probably 100 years of ideology. But when we really look at the spiritual part of this, a lot of this was a lot of the prophets, okay, who walked this earth, talked about the energy and manifestations. Okay, you know this. And now we're going to show you how to apply it in your life if you haven't already been applying it or why it's being applied in your life. So that's what I'm excited about. A lot of breakthroughs, a lot of things filled in. So if you haven't got the book, definitely pick the book up. I want you to read the chapters because obviously there's going to be things that I'm going to talk about on here. I'm not going to just go through and summarize the book, okay? But I'm going to talk about life experiences where this has occurred for all of us and things to stay away from, especially in the field that we're in, network marketing, business, trying to become successful in life. Okay, a lot of the stuff we are going to apply here. But before we get started, you know, I got a little special treat for us. Let me go ahead and launch this. Let me show this again for you guys. Let me share this with you. Make sure you drop some ones in the chat. I want to make sure this shows correctly. Drop some ones in the chat. I want to make sure you hear the audio. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this started right now. So welcome to our morning mentorship call like we talked about before. If this is your first time being on, my name is Randy Webb. Me and my wife, Wanda Webb, we've been full-time entrepreneurs now for the past 7.5 years, going on 8 years in January being full-time. That means we have no bosses, we have no jobs. You know, we come from humble beginnings. We didn't come from money, okay? We've been through all the classes, from poverty all the way up to being rich. And so I will tell you there's something about, we're gonna talk about thoughts and feeling, what you believe you can do. Okay, that's the power that impacts and what we believe our energy came from. Okay, we'll talk about your foundation spiritually, whether you're Christian, whether you Hindu, whether you're Buddhist, whether you're Muslim. Okay, we won't go heavy into religion, but it's gonna reference religion here from the spiritual realms. So what I want to share with you. Okay, we're gonna have our next slide before we get started. A little 4-minute clip for you guys. So if you're new to the call, just know we do this Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Welcome to our call.
This is it. Let me give you one piece of advice. Be honest. He knows more than you can imagine.
At last. Welcome, Neo. As you no doubt have guessed, I am Morpheus.
It's an honor to meet you.
No. The honor is mine. Please, come, sit. I imagine that right now you're feeling a bit like Alice. Tumbling down the rabbit hole? Hmm?
You could say that.
I can see it in your eyes. You have the look of a man who accepts what he sees because he is expecting to wake up. Ironically, this is not far from the truth. Do you believe in fate, Neo?
No,
Why not?
because I don't like the idea that I'm not in control of my life.
I know exactly what you mean. Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. Do you know what I'm talking about?
The Matrix.
Do you want to know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
What truth?
That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Follow me. Hey, Pac, are we online?
Almost.
Time is always against us. Please, take a seat there.
All right, all right, all right. So let me get this. So the question is, do you want to take the blue pill or the red pill? Okay, so I was watching that now. I'm like, it's so symbolic. And I watched that when I was a kid and never really paid attention to what the Matrix was really talking about. So listen, folks, we're gonna get a little geeky for a second, and then I'm gonna talk it in story based. Okay, so some of you who are reading the book, it got a little bit weird starting off, trying to connect everything together where they talked about science. I don't know about you, but I didn't do that well in school when it came to science, when it came to atoms, neutrons, protons, electrons, all that stuff. But now today it makes a lot of sense. And now I understand it, okay, as an adult. But really going into this book with Dr. Dispenza, basically what they're breaking down are some early rules. This has been studied since the 1700s, right? You have Descartes, Rene Descartes, which was a mathematician. You hear me mention their names. You hear me mention Newton, right? You've heard of Newton's law, okay? And then I'm going to talk about also Albert Einstein. So, we're going to look at where numbers and math and science, they all kind of mesh together. So they're talking about the early views of what we perceive to be our reality, okay? Physical, okay? We only can study with our physical, which physical means matter, all right? So what the early world views was that our reality was essentially predetermined, okay? That we didn't control anything, that what you got was what you got. So if you guys believe that, meaning if you were in poverty, you were always going to be in poverty. If you grew up in a certain situation, you were always going to be in that situation, and it could not change. You had no control over it whatsoever. And believe it or not, some people still have that mindset, that belief that they can't control the things that are around them, that their external world, right, which is more a Newton's law, cause and effect, okay? so that everything around you calls you to be the way that you are, meaning our environment impacts us. And that can be true to an extent when we don't accept the truth that we have control over our change. Okay. So if I tell you today, you have control over everything in your world, everything that you ever thought about, your feelings, your emotions, the way that you are, you created your world. You created your matrix. Okay. Your bank account, your relationship, everything. And if we accept that our thoughts become things, but we're going to talk about it's not just thought, we're going to talk about emotions and feelings and how they align. And really, that's what this book is talking about, how to really kind of hone in on your personal desires that you want. Okay. And I'm gonna reference several I'm gonna reference scriptures, and I'm gonna also talk about what it talked about in this book. So that was the early worldview, is that you had no control over your situation. The current understanding now today, especially going back and utilizing quantum physics, is that they believe that we are a part of a vast invisible field, okay, of energy. Okay, we already know that. You've heard me talk about energy and frequency waves. We know that. Okay, so if you don't know that, we're all energy. Okay, we all give out heat signatures and frequencies. Think about it. How do we walk around all day at what? What's the current body temperature? 98, right? 98 degrees. We all walk around at 98 degrees. How? Right? Our blood flowing, pumping. We are energy. Okay, so when you break these down, so you start thinking about it, and then what it goes on to say is that which contains all possible realities, okay, and respond to our thoughts and feelings. So basically, from our thoughts and feelings, we can create things of matter. Hence, your imagination creates ideas. I'm an inventor as well too. I remember my mom calling me up about an invention that we now have called the Taco Mama, and it was just an idea starting off, right? So we talk about the atoms and subparticles. So you guys were listening to that here. I'm just going to break it down really simple what it is. Okay, our imaginations, our thoughts bring about physical things. You ever heard the term that opportunity doesn't go away, it just goes to someone else? Man, this book described that because it interconnects us together. And that's why when you have thought of something, some of you have some powerful inventions that you thought of, and then you never executed on it. And then all of a sudden, someone else, you see your invention sitting on the shelf. How? Because we are all energy. We are interconnected together. And this book explains all of that. Okay, we're interconnected together. So the thing is, and we can go even to the biblical sense where there are parables where God told a certain person to go do something, they didn't do it, and what happened? He found someone else to go do the same thing. Okay, when we look at this, there's certain ideas that may come into your heart, your thoughts and your heart together, and if you produce that idea, you can become rich, you can make money, you can do certain things. But if you don't take the chance to take that opportunity, what happens? It goes to someone else. That's all. Okay. So they're talking about the energy around us, how we can just basically manifest it, use it. Now, what they look back from the past shortfalls is that they couldn't determine, in the Newtonian, Cartesian, when they were studying, they were able to study the physical. Okay. So early scientists, all they could study is what they could see, the matter. Okay. Not the mind. And what they went on to say is that after looking at their studies, they said that the study of matter was the jurisdiction of science. Okay, so science paid attention to only the things that were in its physical form. But when it came to the mind, they said that was God's instrument to study, and that study of fell in religion. Okay, and so religion was always mind, and science was always matter. But what we're going to come is we're going to bring these two worlds together, because what you're going to realize is that now the current understanding is that your thoughts and your feelings, which are emotions, do impact your physical. It impacts what you'll become. And so you hear things, as a man thinketh in his heart, so shall he be. Man, did that scripture here. Let me say that one again. As a man thinketh in his heart, so that means his mind and his heart put together, so shall he be. And so you're going to realize we're going to talk about energy, and we're going to talk about matter. And when these things come together, our thoughts, our feelings, emotions, then that thing becomes something of true solid or of physical. So he said, if we truly embrace the notion that our thoughts produce tangible effects in our lives, wouldn't we strive to never let one thought slip by us that we didn't want to experience? So what they call our thoughts and feelings and things that happen after that are experiences. And so imagine, if you were to inventory right now all of your thoughts, okay? And what thoughts do is not, the thought alone is not it, okay? This is what I want you to understand, because I'm going to break this down of how this book, where we attract things as a magnet. So I want you to think about your thoughts are frequencies that go out. Okay. You're throwing out your thoughts. Your thoughts are frequency that go out. So you always are thinking and you're dishing it out. So what you're saying, so have you ever wondered, like, can people hear me thinking? Can they see me thinking? Do they know my thoughts? Okay. Now, for all of us who have a spiritual foundation, okay, God knows our thoughts. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so that's what we're talking about right now. So let me bring it back so it's not weird for you. God knows our thoughts. Yes, your thoughts that you put out, okay, God knows your thoughts. And so what are your dominating thoughts? Because those thoughts then create something called feelings and emotions. And so in this book, we're going to talk about the state of being and the state of mind. Okay. And he says to be in a state of being, state of mind is okay, your thought. But to be in a state of being means your thoughts become your reality. Okay. That means your body and your mind has to come together. Okay, we talk about the scripture. Do not be conformed by things of this world, but by the renewing of your mind. So controlling that portion of it. So if you can experience everything of your thoughts, when you take an inventory of your thoughts, are they negative or are they positive? What are you manifesting in your life today? You know, sometimes we may think it's not a big deal that we think about something negative. Okay. You know, another scripture, do unto others as you want done unto you. Man, we're so interconnected. Okay. Where we call it, you can call it karma. Okay. For my Hindu people, you can call it karma. Okay. But what we give out, we give back. Do unto others as you want done unto you. Okay. And we can talk about this over and over again, the energy that we put out. And that's all that this is saying. And when I get to the end of this, basically, I'm going to tell you, you're going to have to protect who you're around, okay, as far as what's being thrown into your mind, because this is a powerful thing. Actually, everything physical starts here, okay? In school, I didn't understand atoms and subatomics and neutrons, protons, electrons. And here's what basically they're saying that it is, right? You guys can remember the markup, of the atom in the middle, and you have the physical protons, neutrons, electrons, as if they're physical on the outside, but they're not. Okay, these are not physical things, even though there's something of mind. Atoms are the energy. So all I want you to think about what they were trying to teach you in school is that atoms, all this stuff was just energy or potential, which means it's not there yet until you observe it, which they call the observer theory. And the observer theory is almost like saying that it's in the eye of the beholder. Okay, think about this. If you weren't looking directly at me right now, but you can hear me, okay, right? You have to see me physical, okay? Mind and matter. Your mind can play tricks on you, okay? You know, we call someone with a dual mind schizophrenic, okay? There's still a lot of studies for neurology. It's been only, 3-4 centuries now of neuroscience, of learning about our mind, okay? And then how that connects to our spiritual. So he says to many of us today, a mind appears to have little or no measurable effects on the world of matter. Okay. So a lot of us believe today that, we can't, and because we believe that, that's what it is. Okay. It's all your perspective. But a lot of us, we walk around and we feel that we have no control over our external circumstances, over our environment. We don't feel we have control. That's the old world of thinking. But the world of, but the world of matter creates consequences affecting our minds. So everything physical to you. So if you're in a bad neighborhood, okay, I was born and raised in Compton, California, gang affects the neighborhood, okay. And so my environment was mostly a dangerous, negative environment. Okay, so my perspective, if I allowed that to form my perspective, right, which forms my mind, okay, so I get to I'm living in that environment, and that environment is not living in me. I'm not causing the environment, okay. And so therefore, I take on structure of my environment. Okay, this is why it's so hard for folks that are in poverty or impoverished neighborhoods, because they take on or they become a product of their environment. Okay, and so what we have to become, just like biblically, we can say we have to become creators, like in the creation. We're built in the image of our creator. So if our creator is the creator, we should be created, not being created inside of our environment. So a lot of us, we take on, this is why it's so hard to get out of your situation, because you take on the emotions and the feelings of everything that surrounds you. Meaning if you don't stand on something, okay, you'll stand for nothing. Everything will sway you. Okay, right? We can go once again some wisdom quotes here. Everything will sway you when you're not strong in mind, and that's what it is, which in turn creates your world. And so he says, how can our minds possibly produce any physical changes affecting the solid things in our lives if we feel that our environment controls us? And so basically what we're going to talk about, what I'm going to bring this all to a closing is that, you are going to control everything in your surrounding. I want you to really take a self-evaluation in your inventory about what's happening in your business today, okay? What may be happening in your marriage, okay? What's happening in your life, okay? And then when you really look at, am I causing my effects? Are the effects causing me? Okay. You can cause your effects, or you can allow things, your feelings, your environment, things that happen to you to continue to run your emotions. And so I want to get to this point where he talked about, let me get to this book here, where he really talked about how does it work. So I want to talk about really how our negative feelings and our emotions, okay, really impact us. And so what he says here is when you have a negative emotion, meaning you're angry or you have fear, now you got to hear this. Okay, because you're going to stop watching certain things that cause these emotions. When we have negative emotions, which is our anger or our fear, our heart rhythms become erratic and disorganized. Think about that. When you are angry, meaning you're going to die quicker. Okay, you're causing your body to not operate normal. That is not how God created us. He didn't want us to have a irregular, right? Irregular heart rate and stuff like that. Okay. That's why when we look at biblical sense, we talk about love. Why? Because a positive emotion of love and joy, okay, produces highly ordered, coherent patterns. And this was done by heart math researchers. Okay. So when we're joyful, when love is around, we create high frequencies, okay, our heart pattern, okay, what we're bringing out. And so to a stance, we do control everything, okay, based on those patterns. So what they did was they did a research, and all I envisioned as they were talking about this research here was kind of some test tubes here. But he said they applied the techniques to produce strong, elevated feelings such as love and appreciation for about 2 minutes. And they had these vials of DNA. And what they realized, they had these several groups. They had three groups. Okay. And so what they did, he said the first study group, 10 individuals were well practiced in using techniques that heart math teaches to build heart focused coherencies. So they applied the techniques to produce strong, elevated feelings such as love and appreciation for 2 minutes. They held vials containing DNA. Those samples, they said, suspended in dianyls water. Okay. No statistical significant changes had occurred. Okay, for this one. Now the second group, what they said was they trained these participants to do the same thing, but instead just creating positive emotions, a feeling of love, and then appreciation simultaneously held in intention a thought. So now we're talking about their feelings. So this second group, the first group, it was just a thought. Okay. The second group, it was a feeling and it was the thought. And what they seen was some unwinding of the strand of DNA. Okay. The third group they trained, they said they held the true intent, but they instructed them to not enter into a positive emotional state. Okay. So they didn't want them to feel happy or have love or joy or anything. Nothing happened with the DNA, no changes of the sample. And so what it came to is they realized that when the subjects held both heightened emotions and clear objectives, okay, clear thought in alignment, that they were able to produce an intended effect. So basically what we're saying here is this. Like, I sound geeky right now going through this book. An intentional thought needs an energizer catalyst, and that energy is an elevated emotion, okay? So thoughts and feelings, okay? Your feelings are the energy that energizes the thoughts that send it out. So they go further to say this, okay? They're going to talk about the quantum field, everything around this energy, okay? The thoughts we think send out electrical signals, okay? This is what I was talking about earlier. Your thoughts send out the signals to the field, okay? Your feelings, this is where it gets, this is what I want you to feel, okay? Your feelings we generate magnetically draw events back to us, okay? I need you to catch that. Our thoughts are the senders. Our feelings are the receivers, okay? So you have to watch your thoughts because your thoughts create emotions. And sometimes those emotions may bring back the things that you don't want. What do I mean by that? Let's talk about this. Okay. What are you broadcasting out there? And I'll talk about it in the sense of relationships, and I'll talk about it in the sense of your business. Okay. Someone negative. Can great things happen to negative people? Have you seen great things happen to negative people? When you think about someone who's always negative, okay, are great things happen to someone who's negative? Probably not. They would be more happier, right? They're letting things around them control their emotions. And what are they getting? More of what their feelings are. Okay. So you go into this running around a circle. Okay. The world is happening around you. Maybe this happened and this happened and this happened. And now you're in this depressed state, negative state. And have you realized people who get in these states, it's very difficult for them to come out of it? Okay, they don't know how to control it because it's constantly controlling them. Maybe they keep on attracting all the things that they don't want, but they want them because their thoughts and their emotions are there. Okay, so someone who's very depressed, what do they keep on doing? They listen to depressed music. Think about it. We've done this. Okay, let me go. You go through a breakup with your girlfriend or boyfriend. Okay, why are we like this? We go through a breakup with our girlfriend and boyfriend, and what do you go do? You go listen to some songs to reiterate the feeling. Okay, it's like lost my girl. Now you're crying. You're on the couch crying. Okay, you're creating more of the emotion. It's getting worse. And then what's some good advice that's taught to you? Okay, let's talk about relationship advice. Why you start thinking now? Let's think about this in good advice. Don't just hop immediately into a relationship when you get out of a relationship. Why? Because your energy is not right. And what are you going to do? Have you ever had those friends where you see it coming, you tell your friends, you just got back with the same dude. He's a different dude, but he's the same dude. Why? Because that was the energy they were putting out. Okay? And so when we say take your time, go find yourself, okay, so that you can finally bring the person that's for you when you're in the right state of mind to attract the right person, okay? It's your thoughts that you emitted out, okay? And it's your feelings that brought it back, okay? Now we may call this how can we check our feelings, okay? Okay? On the spiritual realm, we're going to talk about prayer, okay? When you pray, right? It's your words, your thoughts, your prayers, your words go out, that energy goes out, confirmation back to you, and therefore you now would attract back what you're feeling, okay? And so this is unfortunately, when you have someone who's being battered, okay, in a relationship. Have you ever seen where someone's being battered in a relationship and then they attract the same, how you keep on attracting the same person, but it's a different person, okay? Now we can explain that. It's a frequency. And so we have to change our frequency. We have to change our feelings. We either on a negative frequency or are we on a positive frequency, okay? And you're going to take this very seriously. You're going to start watching your brain. Listen, man, I was just doing, and I won't even say it was an experiment, but I'm looking at our business, for example, okay? A lot of us, we're in a place in our business, and listen, I had to learn this. I think I got this lesson spiritually in the end of 2019. I kept getting more of what I didn't want, but I was getting it because that was the frequency I was putting out. My thoughts became things. My thoughts started becoming my reality, even though at that moment, was it my reality at that moment? Yes, it was already external, it was happening. But what I was doing was I was the catalyst. Remember we talked about this? Your intentional thought needs an energizer, okay? You are the energizer, your thought, a catalyst, and that energy is the elevated emotion. So what happens is, let's say, I'm gonna give you the real. I'm looking at my back office, I'm working my butt off, I'm looking at my back office, man, my numbers keep on dropping, and then now my feelings are getting entangled. I'm getting upset, okay? That my numbers are dropping. I'm getting this anxiety emotions. Oh my God, this is gonna occur. So not only did I send the thought out, my feelings brought it back, okay? And it is not until I broke that cycle, okay, and a lot of you were able to watch that. It's not until I broke that cycle where I started believing like, no, my external is not going to control me. I'm going to control it, okay? And so I choose to be happy. When I open up that back office, I choose, that back office is going up. I don't care what those numbers say. Let's go. I thank you, God, for the things you've already brought into my life. I give it the feeling. Why? Because I want to attract back. Okay, I want the attraction back. So my feelings, I control. Okay. So what I'm telling you right now is going to be the hardest thing that you ever do. Okay. Is you're upset, you're mad, you're angry. You don't want that back. So you're going to have to put on a smile. You're going to have to choose to be happy. You're going to have to choose to be grateful. So how do we trick ourselves to do that? We think about these situations in our life that we are grateful for, right? It says be grateful. What are we grateful for? I'm grateful that I have a roof over my head. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Okay. I'm grateful that I have healthy children. Okay, I'm grateful that for me, I got money in the bank. I'm grateful that I'm no longer in my situation. Be grateful for the small things because eventually you'll get the big things. Why? Because you're sending out gratitude, your thoughts of gratitude, okay? Your energy of gratitude to receive, to receive, to receive. So whatever you want to receive, okay, the thought goes out, the feeling has to be there. So what am I saying, folks? You got to have the feeling before you get the thing. Man, now I get it. I'm going to church now. Now I get it. Okay. Well, I remember them telling you got to be grateful before it comes. Like, how can I be grateful for it coming? I'm hurting right now. I'm in poverty. Like, my bank account is at zero. How can I be grateful? Okay. You got to be that weird person that is celebrating something because you have the faith, which guess what? A lot of our foundation is based on what? Belief and faith. Okay. We can all connect this together. Okay. Because you have the belief and the faith, okay, that energy you put out is the energy you get back. And so that's why you're now walking, okay? You know, we say we don't walk by sight, right? We don't see energy, okay? So we walk by faith. And by walking by faith, okay, it now takes away the feeling of drowning. It takes away the feeling of things happening negative to you, okay? So really, when you think about our very premise of who we are spiritually, okay, and you know whatever your foundation is, whatever the good book says, okay, about keeping your feelings in check. That's why. Okay, we talk about it here. So I'm gonna go into a little bit of science. We have our consciousness. So in this book is gonna talk about you being in a level of consciousness. Okay, basically your mind. Okay, and when your mind aligns to your body, things happen. Sorry, I have keep on having a lot of these clicks here. Let me close this out. Give me 1 second. And so when your body aligns to your mind, there's special things that happen. I want you to think about this, okay? If every day you look at the mirror, okay, let's say you see your faults, okay? Maybe you want to lose weight. So you physically see that every day, okay? And so you look in the mirror, and I need you to change your thought about you, okay? Before that body will change, your mind has to change. And so, I've been in the bodybuilding field, for example, for well over 20 years. And I understand what it takes to transform my body in a major way. Okay. But to do that, it just doesn't happen. I don't just go to the gym and push a weight. That's not what happens, right? See, a bodybuilder is a sculptor of his body or her body. Okay. They have to see it before it occurs. Oh man, my traps need to get a little bit bigger. I'll need to put a little definition on my back here, right? They have clear objectives and thought. I want you to really think about this when a bodybuilder is sculpting their body, okay? We have clear thought about what we want our body to look like. Okay, I need a little bit more girth in my chest. Okay, I need to get my biceps a little bit bigger, objectives. But some of you think about it, you're like, well, I've never really thought about how I want my body to look, okay? I just know what I got is what I got. I want to lose some type of weight, but then every day you want to lose weight, but every day you think about how much weight you got. And so what's happening? Okay, your thoughts, you're emitting, and the feelings, no, I'm still overweight. I still have the weight on me. So therefore, what are you going to attract? You're still going to attract that weight. Okay, so what I'm saying is, and I know it's crazy, but it's real. I need you to start putting thoughts out there that is done. Okay, the body that you want, having a clear objective of thought. Okay, and that clear objective of thought will create feelings. So imagine when you look in the mirror next time, okay, you don't see whatever your inefficiency you feel you have is. You don't see that, okay? You see the spiritual you, okay? So the spiritual you can become anything that you want, okay? One of the scriptures here, this goes powerful. Where did I write this thing at? Make sure I didn't miss this. Whatever. Okay. You guys all know this one. Ask and it shall be given to you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asks shall receive, and he that seeks shall find. and to him that knock, it shall be open. What is it saying overall? Okay, whatever you want out there, whatever your thoughts is, you can have it. Basically, telling we can have it. So when you look in the mirror at yourself, I want you to see the renewed self because you have a renewed mind. And it first happens in your mind. So boom, I have the sculpted body that I want. Okay. Then you look at your bank account. Listen, I know what happens when you look at your bank account. Look, I remember the zero bank account. I remember, forget the zero bank accounts. I remember the overdrafted bank accounts. Okay. Negative money in the account. You got to base half of your paycheck is to catch up your bank account. Okay. So I remember those emotions. And now me and my wife, we joke about it, but it's a science behind it. We say, man, now that we don't need the money, it seems like the money just pours in. Why? Because our emotions that we have, our gratitude that we have is already here. This is why you start thinking, you start thinking about the cliche things that the rich continually get rich and the poor get poor. Why? Now what do we contribute to? I used to say it's the economy portion of it, maybe, right? But isn't it more maybe our feelings that we attract? When I look at my bank account, I don't have a good feeling, right? If you have a negative bank account right now, I need you to pray over your bank account, okay? We're talking about prayer. I need you to pray over your bank account, okay? When you look at your bank account, and if it's zero, negative, whatever it is, it's $100, whatever you got, I need you to pray that bank account is going to add 7 more zeros in it. And believe it. What is your emotion when you open up your bank account and it says $1 million, okay? Now, I wouldn't really keep 1 million in the bank, but let's just say your portfolio says $1 million, okay? What is your feeling? That's what matters here. What is your feeling? You're like, oh my God, $1 million, and you have to really be in the moment. We talk about the observer effect, okay? We talk about atoms, how they disappear and come back. Well, they disappear and come back based off you, okay? Potential energy out there. So what we're taking is we're finding a way, okay? You know, we call it law of attraction. Yes, it's us directing our focus, the observer theory, to the thing that we want until it finally appears as matter. Okay, that's all this chapter was talking about. We have such focused intentions of our energy that the thing that we want finally becomes the thing, okay, that we get. So what it says here, it says you are consciousness using a body and brain to express different levels of mind, okay? And so when we talk about different levels of mind, what you're living in right now, we're at different levels of mind. We're at different states of being, okay? So far as your bank account, your state of being, okay? What does your bank account say? Okay, what does your body say? What does your relationship say? When you start realizing we can control everything around us, you know, for my married couples, okay? You know, me and my wife, you know, we constantly are learning as a couple, our marriage to improve, okay? Finding out who we are and how we communicate with one another and how we just become one all together, right? Biblically, we are one in a relationship, husband and wife are one together. So the energy inside of our home, it's so crazy. We're so interconnected. There's times where my wife feels my energy and I feel her energy without anything being said. Okay. There's times I have thoughts that she goes, boom, hey baby, I was thinking the same thing. Okay. That energy gets so connected. So I want you married couples, I want you to understand how much control that you have. Okay. You know, it's unfortunate that 50% of marriages end up in divorce, if not more. Okay. And what I need you to know is that you have full control over all of it. Okay. Because really, what sinks marriages? When we think about it, what sinks a marriage? Okay, we talk about ego. Okay, the Bible references ego, getting rid of that. What is love? Love is kind. Love is patient. Love is this. It warns us about what we should be. Why? It knows it, right? The emotions we're gonna put out. Why is it focused on the emotions? Love is kind. Love is patient. Love is this. Love is that. All the emotions. Why? Because it knows when you put those emotions out, you get to attract the right things back. Okay, so when we're talking about our marriage and true love in our marriage, okay, these are feelings that we put out. So when I wake up in the morning, for example, now I know that if I wake up in the morning, okay, unfortunately, right, and vice versa, my wife can control my feelings and I can control her feelings. It can be a very bad thing. So if I wake up in the morning, this would be a very evil person. But if I woke up in the morning, I just was mad just to be mad. Okay, I put my wife on like eggshells. Now her emotions are all jacked up. The house's energy is jacked up. Okay, we get in an argument, house's energy is jacked up. But what if I just told you have full control over that? If we could get rid of our ego. See, Ego means etching God out. Okay? It's all ego. So let me give you an example. We have an argument in my house. I can choose to be mad the whole time, the whole day, for a week. Watch it happen. People, it's a dangerous zone to be in. But I can be mad for a day, the whole week, and I can fester it, right? So that's the thought I'm putting out. Okay, now I'm putting out the emotion. Okay, so now the emotion is going, God, I'm upset. What do? We cause bad energy, negative energy in the house, and I'm attracting that back to myself. And unfortunately, you can get into a deep entanglement, negative entanglement, okay, that you can't get out of. And so, husbands, wives, listen, how can you control the energy in your house? Because you get to choose whether you want to be positive or negative, regardless of what happens. So, something happens, I could choose and say, you know what? I could make that an issue, but it's not even worth it. Okay? I choose to be happy today. I choose to love. I choose to forgive because I want to keep attracting the right things back into me. Okay? Back into us. So, couples, sometimes listen, like I say in my house, Team Webb, we can't afford to have negative feelings in this house for the goals that we're trying to accomplish, right? Couples, you can't afford to have the negative energy in your house because of the goals that you're trying to accomplish. And when you really take that to heart, you can't afford to have your thoughts messed with, okay, in any shape or form, okay? That's relationship wise. Now let's talk about business, okay? Now let's go into a business level. Now let's take it seriously. We're all running towards a certain goal. Some of you are like, I'm going to make $10 million because this company pays $10 million a year and I can do it. I can get there. I can become a chairman 750. And at some point, a chairman elite making 12 million, 18 million a year. Okay. We're in a company right now. Okay. We just wanted to just mention something. And I'm showing my age. She just says some rapper just joined. They're like a big deal. They just joined Trade House. Another one. Okay. We have the entertainment industry now joining our company. There's so much on the line right now. So much that can change your life. I want you to imagine if you really go after and you really put the thought out that you can become a chairman 750, chairman elite, that one day you are going to make 10 million or more per year. Okay. What would 10 million, and work with me, folks. Some of you are like, I haven't made $1 million yet, Rand. You talking about 10 million. Okay. Just pretend with me. Let's all go to La La Land together. Okay. Okay. Blue pill or red pill. Go to La La Land with me. You're now making $10 million a year. What does your life look like? Right? Your whole family's taken care of, right? You bought mama the house of her dreams. You're traveling with your entire family. You started trust funds for all the children to make sure that legacy continues on. You help most of your family start their own business because you're going to increase your wealth even more. Okay? You got real estate around the world. You started your own Montessori, okay, to teach children in underprivileged families. Okay? You have charities all over the world, from Africa all the way back here to the United States. Okay? You can cut the check anytime that you want. Money is not a thing anymore. It's no longer have to be a thought. Like, you don't have to worry about scarcity, that it's not enough. It's in abundance and it's constantly flowing in. How do you feel when that happens? See, I got the chills right now because I know it's going to happen. It's not a question. Okay? And when you have the feeling that it's done and the faith that you're going there, that's when it's going to start occurring. You're going to start doing the things that you want, okay, to go towards it. You really feel it. And listen, folks, what I'm teaching right now, I used to think was weird two years ago, okay? I remember coming here and doing the up and down. See, my world got opened up a lot. And I believe it was meant for me. Like, I started having experiences. And so my world opened up a lot in this journey for us, really learning the spiritual, my business part, okay? So what I need you to understand is that the most important about you today is your spirit. Okay, your spirit is the most important thing about you, because they say out what's in the heart, which is also spirit within the heart, comes out the mouth. So if you're a negative person in your heart, unfortunately, negativity is always going to roll out of your mouth, and you're going to have to change that. How do you change it? Okay, you got to be aware of it. If you're aware, and I watch some people that are changing right now, in our business. Okay, they're watching the way that they speak. Okay, because if you speak it, it's a thought already. Right? You can't speak without thinking of it. Right? It's your unconscious. Like, some of you ask me, well, how do words come out? I'm just talking. Okay? It's your unconscious. That is just speaking. So it's the part that you almost can't control, but you can program. So you're gonna have to program your unconscious to be a certain way to where, I call it your reticular activating system, where certain things don't even get through. Okay? Negative things, you wave a flag, it doesn't even get through to the brain because we protect it. But it can't not do that if your frequency, your receiver is constantly attracting negative energy. Okay. So what we have to do is we got to cut off the receiver. I don't receive negative energy. Okay. I only receive positive energy. And I'm only going to put positive energy out, and I'm only going to put positive thoughts out. And so what I've seen in our business, for example, okay, in what we do. Okay. So I was talking about the back office. Well, what I was doing was I kept on sensationalizing the feeling of negativity in my business. Okay, I get the chills right now because I see what was happening. I was in a spiral and it wasn't coming out of it until I just broke it. Okay, and then I said, I'm gonna choose to be positive. I'm gonna choose to think about only the things that are gonna progress me forward. I'm only gonna focus on the thing that's gonna help me move forward. I'm never ever going to focus on any negative thoughts. I don't even want to talk to negative people. And so today, folks, I really want you to hear this because I'm gonna cut off negative people. Because if every time our conversation happens, okay, it brings up a negative emotion in me, I have to cut you off because I can't put 10 million, I can't put my 10 million on the line. Okay. I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't gonna put my 10 million on the line for you. Okay. You're gonna have to get it together. Okay. When we talk, okay, we gotta talk as if. Okay, we only talk future, we don't talk past. Okay, when I talk to my new friends, we only talk future, we don't talk past. I don't live in the past. Okay, the past is not what I want. The future is what I want. And what I see in my future is 10 million, 100 million, 1 billion. That's what I see in my future because that's where my thoughts go and that's what I want to attract. And if you're not a part of that attraction, then I can't have you in my space. And I need you thinking the same exact way. Anybody that brings a negative feeling or emotion, you got to cut them off. Okay? Now, I know in the Niche Singles, he said you don't cut off negative people. I know. We're in another book now. Okay, I'm not saying cut them all the way off. What I'm saying is you got to cut off their conversation, right? You don't cut off family. Of course, they're there, but they'll get it. I got people that talk to me on a daily basis. You get to train them how to speak to you, okay? They know to come to you correct. When you're talking and maybe you might say something, you hear me say cancel. That's me making sure it doesn't go in my brain, okay? And I'm going to train you how to speak to me when we're on the phone so that I don't have that negative emotion because I can't afford it. And we're all human. Listen, folks, I still fall short. How do I fall short? One day we're talking and all of a sudden we mention the name of a person that's not even in the area. What is that called? It's called gossiping, by the way, folks. If they're not there, it's called gossiping. Okay. Now, if it's great things, gossip about people positively, that's awesome because you're sending energy to them and you're getting it back to you. Okay. But if you're talking about someone negatively, even though they're not there, okay, it's gossiping, it's low energy, but it is also sending out your thoughts into the universe, okay, sending out your thoughts out there, and what are you going to receive back? Do unto others as you want done it to you. Ooh. And man, this is where the entanglement, what's that new word? Entanglement happens at, okay? Because now you all jacked up in your mind because you were just talking about the next person. Why am I preaching here? Come on now. You were just talking about the next person. Now you think they're talking about you. Anybody go through that? You've been gossiping about somebody so long that you think they gossiping about you. Okay? Because doing to others as you want done it to you is such a mind psyche, folks. And then you stuck in that entanglement over and over and over. And this is why biblically it says to what? Forgive people. Okay? Why? We're forgiving them not for them, forgiving them for us. Because we need our energy to be in check. Why do we forgive people? I promise you, folks, it feels good when you forgive someone. It takes energy to remember that you're mad at someone. I need you to think about this. You got to start having a short memory if you want the things in this life. If you want to be given, you got to have a short memory because it takes brain bites to remember things. Oh yeah, I'm mad at them over there. Okay, dang, that energy. I get cancer, but I get the chills now because that's not our DNA. That's not how we're programmed anymore. Okay, and so if you want positive things to happen to you, let's talk about energy that you put out, your frequencies. Okay, so the frequency you need to be putting out right now is excitement, gratitude. Okay. Positive energy, happiness, joy. Have you ever heard this, man, they so happy-go-lucky. Seem like everything they touch turns to gold. Okay. I was that guy. I was so happy. I remember serving in the military before I became an officer. I was a weapons director. Um, and I was a controller. I love controlling. Right before I became a pilot, I was controlling the pilots, and I would literally get off and just being very good over the radio and providing the service to those pilots, making sure they had everything, knew where the targets were, all that good stuff. And I was just happy. My energy. How's it going, sir? Like I was a guy walking around. How you doing, sir? Like happy. Okay, all the time. I was never depressed in the military. Always happy for the most part. I was a guy in the walking room and I'll brighten up. Well, what I didn't know, okay, I remember years later, I was talking to one of my cohorts at that time. I was already an officer by then. And we were just talking about some of the weapons directors. And he was like, bro, did you know such and such? They couldn't stand you. They couldn't stand you. They hated you. And I used to be around this person all the time, so happy, joyful, had no idea. No idea. Well, I look back and I remember that individual, his life was not in a good place. Okay. And I think about it like here, I was in an upturn in my life. My life was going up. Okay. I went from, when I joined the military, I went from almost getting kicked out, okay, to, finding a passion in bodybuilding, to becoming one of the top airmen, okay, to getting what we call below the zone, okay? Below the zone means that you put on rank early. So I went from this kid who was about to get kicked out to putting my rank on early, okay? You can imagine my emotions and what happened. I can tell you, like, my emotions were in an up spiral. So now I'm all of a sudden, okay, I'm this kid, like, things are going great for me. So at that time, whether I knew it or not, my environment, and this is what, it happens by accident, okay? So I'm going to show you how to have the experience on purpose. But by accident, okay, good things happen to me on my external, which caused me to put out more thoughts of positive energy, which attracted more positive energy back to me. So I got BTZ, below the zone, put on my senior airman strike early. Okay, now I'm like, man, I'm gonna try to hit staff sergeant early. Took my test, passed the first time, got staff sergeant. My life is on the upward move. Okay, boom. Now, not only am I a staff sergeant, I want to be a pilot. Okay, so now I have all these positive thoughts. I want to be a pilot. I want to be a pilot. So now I'm putting that out into the universe. Okay, I joined the Aero Club. You guys have heard the story. Yeah, I had some obstacles, what we perceive as obstacles in my way, but I chose to keep going forward. I said, I'm still going to do this. I'm not going to let it stop me. And I kept flying the airplane till the feeling of nervousness went away. And then eventually I finished my degree and I remember putting in my package. Okay, but I want to talk about the story of putting in my package because I'm going to talk about prayer. Okay, and what we put out. And so here I am. I'm a staff sergeant. I'm about 4.5 years into the service. I decided that I want to become a pilot. No one in my family has ever flown airplanes before. Okay, I'm the first. I'm really one of the. My uncle served in the Vietnam War. I have 2 uncles that served in the Vietnam War, but as far as that was all the family I had in the military. So I was going to become a first-generation officer in the military as well too, which I was first-generation officer in the military. But how that came about when I decided that I wanted to become a pilot. Okay, it was such an inundating thought. Okay, and I always talk about this because I believe this was like it was my second, what I call experience. Okay, second blessing from God. And I'll talk about my father too. But this experience that I had is when I decided that I wanted to become a pilot, it became a very strong thought to the extent where, you guys heard me talk about I was playing simulation games. I bought all the simulation games you can buy. And all I would do is think about being a pilot. I would do the things that pilots did. I would go hang out at the spots the pilots were at. So I was a weapons director, so it gave me the opportunity to go hang out with the pilots because we were controllers. And so there were times, folks, listen, this was real, okay? I remember I was in Iceland. I was a staff sergeant. No, at this time I hadn't put on my staff sergeant stripe yet. I was a senior airman. And I remember going into the restroom. And every time I would go in that restroom, they would have 2 mirrors, okay? These old school seats. But 2 mirrors, you just look at yourself, because you already look at your uniform, you're all pressed up, so enlisted, they have their rank on their arms, okay? Officers, they have their ranks. If you're wearing the BDUs, battle dress uniforms, you have them on your lapels, okay? And if you're wearing a flight suit, you have them up here. So I would always go in the restroom. Now I had stripes on my arms, and I would always envision that I actually had lieutenant bars on my lapels, like real story. Like I was so inundated in La La Land, what I thought was La La Land, right? That I was envisioning myself physically, okay, in my spiritual world, in my matrix, that I was already a lieutenant. To the point I would go into the restroom and I would look. Okay, I'm gonna tell you something even more funny. I would even salute myself. Okay, real story though. I would salute myself. And I remember the smallest things, folks. Envision myself being saluted at the gate. Okay, so if you're an officer, let me explain that to you. When you're an officer, and I'm a retired officer now. Okay, if you were to ever go in the gate with me, they would check my ID. They would see that I'm an officer. They would pop a salute. Okay, and then I would salute them back so they can drop it as a retired person. So I remember before I was an officer, I would envision myself going through the gate and getting the respect of an officer, them saluting me. I became so entangled up in that as my reality that I believe it did become my reality because the energy was put out there already. Yeah, I was already changing what quantum physics calls it. I was already changing my future based on my thoughts at that time. Okay, so what does that mean? In your present, you got to already have faith and be in your future. Okay, in your present, you got to already have the faith and have the emotion, the feelings to already be in the future. So what was happening to me is I was already entering into my future, whether I knew it or not. At that time, I didn't know what it was. Okay, but what happened was, of course, strong prayer life as well too. I went to school. I finished my schooling. There were opportunities where I didn't know how I was going to become an officer fast. But listen, in Iceland, because I was in Iceland, they had these courses that came. In Embry-Riddle is where I graduated from. And Embry-Riddle came down because I was trying to finish my courses fast. Like I was the guy, I'm gonna take 4 classes and be full-time in the military. That was me. Exactly what you see right now is what I was in the military too. Okay. I was trying to get it done and get it done fast. And so I was taking a gang of courses. Well, what happened was Embry-Riddle came down and said, well, it's costing us a lot of money to send instructors in for 3 months. It's costing us our campus, and we don't want to raise prices on the military. So here's what we're gonna do. We're going to send our instructors down for a weekend, for a month. And for that month, you're going to take 4 weekend courses, and then that course will be finished. So now what I was doing, I was finishing courses. I was doing 2 courses. I was finishing 2 courses in a month. Okay, every weekend while everybody was out partying, I was literally in school back to back to back, finishing my courses. And so I was able to finish my course fast, and then it was time to go put in that package. And this is where I believe a lot of my spiritual came in at, okay? I did everything that was necessary to change as a person, especially in the military. My past was no longer my future, okay? My past was no longer my present. I was a different person already, okay? In my squadron, I was known for winning every award. I was the liked person. I was very charismatic. All the lieutenants, I was a staff sergeant at that time. All the lieutenants loved my course, loved the way that I was. I treated people like human beings. Okay, if I could just tell you what it was, I wasn't the guy that took authority and held it over someone. I wasn't the person that looked down on people. They were always equal, if not above. So I would look at people as what they were going to become. So when I was training these students, I looked at them as the next commander. Okay, they were young lieutenants, and that to me they were the next commander. They were next base generals. And believe it or not, looking at my friends now, a lot of my buddies. One of my buddies just picked up command. He's been commanding a squadron for the past year now. He's just heading off to Afghanistan as we speak, or overseas to command the unit. These are people that I came up with as airmen. Okay, so that's what it really was. Look at a man. Look at a man as though as he is, and he gets worse. Look at him as though he should be. He'll get what? Better, right? We're actually putting our thoughts that. Why does it say that biblically? Because it is something to that. That energy and our thought we put out about someone, meaning we always see the good in someone, and eventually they become good, okay? Because it's the energy we put out. And therefore, if we're around that person, we'll receive it back. So, for example, in your team, never speak the illness into your team, because I don't want to create that energy for it to come back. So if you want greatness for someone that's in your organization, keep speaking life into them, okay? Maybe you're not speaking to them, but you're speaking life about them, okay? Meaning behind closed door, you speak great things about them. Okay, maybe there are some things that, man, I wish this person would improve here. Pray about it. Pray it into existence. Speak the words out into the universe. Put your thoughts out there so that what's the receiver that we want back? I want to receive it back. Okay. If I want all chairmen on my team, I'm going to speak to you as chairman. Okay. I'm never going to degrade you as if you're not. Never going to degrade you as a human being, period. Okay. But still look at someone as though where they are and they'll get worse. See them as what they can become and they'll what? Get better. That's all that we're doing. That's all that that means. Okay? We're putting out the thought for them. We're putting out the prayer for them. And they did an experiment with prayer. What they found with prayer, 3,000 subjects, they found that people that were prayed for actually got better faster. Okay? So it's something behind it. Between our frequency, electromagnetic waves, whatever you want to call it. Okay? All I need you to know is that your thoughts become things. That you are creator, that you control the very things that are around you right now, that you have everything intact. So if you want to change your life right now, okay? I went way over time. You want to change your life right now, you got to stop and become a new you. You got to transform your mind right now. How do we do that? Well, what you're doing right now. When you hop on these mentorship calls, why is it that people become top earners when they get mentorship? Let's think about it. Okay, everyone in our business right now, everyone who's ever hit rank in our business right now, they've all been on this call consistently. Okay, there were people that were on this call that did not expect to build that became Platinum 1000. How? Because their mental got in check. Okay, so when we say, I need you to understand, when we say don't miss events, I'm not just saying don't miss events. I'm saying I need your spiritual to change about you. Okay, you can't change it by yourself. That's the part that you can't control right now. So because you are controlled by external sources, let me just change your external because it's easier. Because you are still an infant in this idea that you have control over your environment. And I know that as a mentor, instead of saying change your mind, I'm going to say let me change your environment. Eventually this environment will change your mind. Okay, we call it brainwashing. Sometimes brainwashing is a good thing, folks. I was fortunate enough that I went to a Tony Robbins event. Listen, I wasn't the guy about the hype. You know, nowadays people will say things. If you've been a person like I'm not all about the hoorah and the hype, I need you to change your mindset. Okay, you need to be about the hoorah and the hype. Why? Because that is a feeling that you need to put out to get that feeling back. Okay, if I put the hoorah and hype out, some people may call them fakes. You ever call somebody a fake because they're doing something that they're not yet? Well, in this industry of network marketing, fakes get rich. Let me say it again. In this industry of network marketing, the people that we say are fakes get rich. That person that you think is the most fakest person, okay, and they're becoming their reality, their fakeness is becoming their reality, okay, right in front of your eyes, because it's their reality. And so what I need you to do is you got to start not saying it's fake, because I don't want to put that word out. It's not fake. It's that you are a future thinker. You are a dreamer. And you live in your world. You live in your matrix. Okay? And because you create and live in your matrix, you get to create whatever you get to create whatever narrative you want. You get to now create your state of being. Okay? And your state of being is created by your thoughts and your feelings and what you put out there, your emotions. So I don't want to go too long. So let me finish up this story. Like, listen, when I was becoming a pilot, folks, I remember I had everything planned out. I had sold my Navigator. You guys heard this, my Navigator with 24 insurance. I love that truck, okay? My first real new truck that I got. And listen, I was so inundated with the thought that I'm going to become a fighter pilot, because that was initial goal, becoming a fighter pilot, okay? Like, I'm going to be a fighter pilot. I can't wait. I dreamed it, slept it, ate it, everything. People probably got tired of me talking about being a pilot. And to the point where I sold my truck and I went and bought a Piper 140 Cherokee. It was a 1967 Piper 140 Cherokee. And every weekend, okay, when I wasn't in school, I would take this airplane out. And I bought the airplane because I knew I needed to get better, because I didn't come from a family of pilots. So in my head, I knew I had to get better because I wanted to just look at it. I was already looking at my future as if it was. I wasn't even accepted in pilot training yet, okay? I had sold. I need you guys to understand what all in looks like. Before the event happened, before I was a pilot, before I was an officer in the Air Force, I did something before I achieved these things. I sold my truck that I love for an airplane, because in my thoughts, I was already going to become a pilot. I had faith that was already done. So I sold my truck. I bought the airplane. I started flying over the weekends. I was flying for the Air Club, got my pilot's license. Once I got my license, every weekend I was flying that airplane. I would take that airplane, fly over Panama City, Florida. I would fly along the beach coast, and I did my own out and backs. I remember flying to my brother's basketball game in Miami. Okay, I experienced a lot of things as a private pilot. I wasn't even a military pilot yet. Okay, but I took the measures as if I was. And listen, folks, when you learn let your external control you, you won't really become anything. You'll become whatever that external environment is. So you can't allow the news or anything to control you. Why? Because I'm going to get to the next message. See, here's what happened. I did all the actions. These things we perceive as obstacles are blessings. Why? Because you make them blessings. I'm going to talk about what happened to me. In the Air Force, when you become an officer, to become an officer, you can only take what we call this AFOQT, the Air Force Qualification Test. You only take it twice. If you fail it twice, you'll never be an officer. You got to go and get a waiver, and most time you won't get that waiver. Well, folks, I got to tell you, my first test that I took, okay, I passed the math, I passed the science. I did not pass the English portion of it. My vocabulary wasn't that expanded, okay, like I needed it to be. And so when I failed that, the pressure was on because it's like my dream, the thing I've been thinking about, I sold my truck for it, I want it. I talked to every pilot on the base. Hey, I'm almost like a pilot. I now wear the flight suits without the rank on it. And now I failed the test. See, an average person would say, well, if God wanted me to have it, I would have passed that first test. Okay? God wants you to have all your desires, okay? As long as it's within the will and it's perfect and it's good and it's not negative, okay? But that's what our mindset, we have to understand what's evil and what's not evil. But God wants you to have all your desires. That's my belief, and that's why we receive all of our desires, right? But if that's not your belief, you won't receive your desires. I need you to hear that too, okay? Some people believe that, hey, if God didn't just drop it down like they used to drop manna from the sky, then it's not meant for me, okay? Then those people will be right where they're at because their externals control what their internal. Okay, for me, I failed that test. I had two decisions. I could say, I'm done. I'm going to be a chief master sergeant now. Some people do that. I watch people do that. Or I can say, man, let me get this test right. The pressure's on. And here's what happened in that moment. My vocabulary wasn't expanded. And what I chose to do, crazy, radical, I went into the dictionary and I had this crazy idea that I would go into that dictionary and I would basically read every word out of the dictionary. I would write it down. What I ended up doing was writing down 1,000 words, okay? Mostly using SATs, ASVABs, AFOQT, 1,000 words. And I wrote the definitions to these words. That was one thing I did. And then I turned around and made it a test for myself because this is how I was studying. And so I turned around and made it a test for myself. I made multiple choice answers of words. Okay, 1,000 of them, A through Z. As a matter of fact, if you look on the internet right now, it's called the hierarchy studyware. This is what I end up creating the book. I end up publishing a book, folks, for these words that I lacked in. My obstacle became a blessing, okay? Because I in turn started selling this book too, because I figured there were other people like me that didn't have an expanded vocabulary and probably who failed the test on the English version, okay? And so I published this book. And when it came to taking the test again, I passed it. I aced it. Okay? But here's where it gets better. Talking about the energy that happens for you. That book, in turn, ended up being a part of my officer package. Come on now. And so I remember I had this, you would call him crazy if you met him. His name was Mr. Colby. He was one of the best to ever do it to make, it seemed like he had a record of everyone who went through him became officers. Okay? And I believe in Mr. Colby in heaven. Mr. Colvin today is 80-something-year-old man right now today, still in his right mind in a sense. Mr. Colvin has even been not in this business, but in my last business. But Mr. Colvin was known for really changing lives. And I remember him, I was getting ready for my package. And I'm methodical. I'm very green, which means I'm analytical. I read everything, okay? I read the small print. I'm the guy that's going to read the small print, okay? And so I'm reading through how to put in my package. So what they want you to do as an officer, you're responsible for putting in your own package. They want to know that you can create something, you can follow directions. So I was putting my package together and it says, do not put anything that we don't ask for in the package. It clearly states it. Don't put anything in the package that we don't ask for. So it's giving me the directions and I'm going direction by direction and I get my package from Mr. Colvin. And Mr. Colvin goes, bruh. So he's African-American man. Old school. He's a Q dog, by the way, for anybody who's Q dogs when he was Q dog. And he goes, boy, you published a book. Okay, this is how he said it. You published a book. No, we put the book in the package. And you bought an airplane. They got to hear this story, Randy. And so some kind of way he was able to get that to them that this guy sold his truck to buy an airplane. And I published a book. to study. So he puts this book in my package, and I'm not supposed to have it in my package. And I'm already fearing that, man. Okay, Miss Colvin, I believe in Mr. Colvin. He knows what he's doing. Okay, Miss Colvin, we're going to put it in the book. Let's go. Okay? But also, this package, once it's put together, got to be signed by someone. See, I just can't. See, there's a gatekeeper to my goal, unfortunately. See, in the employment world, there is a gatekeeper to your goals. So I need a commander to sign my package. And I had this bright idea because I've controlled the general of the base before, and he knew me, that I could just get it signed by him. Because if you got your package signed by the general, you're guaranteed to be picked up as an officer. But listen, that wasn't the experience that God wanted me to have. Okay? That wasn't me. I'm going to talk about the manifestation of what happened. That wasn't the experience God wanted me to have. See, I made the appointment with the chief master sergeant, who was an enlisted member, and I had to talk to him first before I talked to the general. And I remember sitting down with this chief master sergeant who had never been an officer before, okay? And he's telling me I'm at this time, I'm a staff sergeant. I've won awards. I was John Levitt, won all the top honors awards. And in the very utterance of his words, he didn't see none of those accomplishments. He only seen my past. So while I was trying to live for my future, he was trying to destroy me with my past. And he says, looks like you got a rocky past. See, that's what some of our friends will do, right? They'll bring up who you were before. They don't know who you are now. They don't know the $10 million a year you. They don't know that one yet. Okay? They just see you because the physical. They don't understand the spiritual. They only see the physical. They see the physical you. Okay? They don't see the spiritual you now. And so at that moment, okay, this man was trying to remind me of my past. And I ain't gonna lie to you, the feelings hurt because he said, I'm not gonna see your package up. He didn't look at none of my accomplishments. Said the general won't sign it. And let me give you the sentiment that was happening right at this moment, folks. My package is due the next day. See, the Air Force don't play about deadlines. If you don't meet the deadline, that's an easy one. You're out. Okay? So my package is supposed to go up that Friday. I thought it was going to be signed that day by the general. Because they pushed that appointment back so many times. And then finally I had the appointment the day before. And then my package did not get signed. Okay? And I remember being so hurt. I went down to Mr. Colvin, so hurt, like, man, they not signed my package. He's like, well, try to get your squadron commander to sign it. So I went down to my squadron commander. He said, I'll sign it. No big deal. But it really, at this level, is not the level they wanted at. He said, we need at least a group. Let's go for the group. I said, but if it goes to the group, I ain't going to get it in time, and then my package won't go up. He said, let's just try. And so my package went up to the group. That's Thursday. Friday's coming. My package was not ready. Okay, that Friday came. I went to the squadron commander, package not here yet. And I'm like, now I'm stressing. And I remember that night I did go home and I prayed. And I remember praying, God, I know, you watched me work hard for this, sold my airplane. Like I just talked to God, okay? Put it in the universe. I've worked hard for this. If this is what you have in your will, this is what I want. My desires, I'm pleading with the Father, okay? And that next Friday now, my package did not come back. But something really special happened. I go to Mr. Colvin and I said, Mr. Colvin, my package is not signed in and they don't think it's going to be here till Monday. He said, boy, God must be on your side, okay? Because we just got note that they pushed the board back by 1 week. They pushed the board back by 1 week, and just like everything else, that's all that I needed. And I will tell you folks my feeling of gratitude that it was already done. Okay, if I can just tell you that I got the chills at that moment, like, thank you, God, it's done. Like when you just got that feeling that it's done, right? You want chairman, you got that feeling that chairman is done. Okay, everything you worked hard for is done. Faith. Well, guess what? My package did go off the next week. Monday it went off with everything in it. And I remember trying to act surprised when you already covered is something. Because I remember sitting there in my office. And when someone's getting picked up, something special about to happen, the commander's walking around the building. So everyone's walking behind the commander. This is me. I'm at my office typing up some reports. And the commander's walking in with the DO, which is the director of operations. Everybody behind the chief master sergeant of our squadron is there. They all walk in. And I got to tell you, I already knew. But I had to act excited. But I already knew. And so when he came in, he says, we got a brand new officer that is being picked up by the Air Force today. And I remember standing up, that elation that happened. I was so excited even to ask what job I had. But I'm going to tell you, folks, I knew what job I had because I only put one thing on the package, okay? I got picked up. to be an officer. That's what he told me right then and there. He never told me what my job was. Now, I didn't finish all the story. There was some times in while I was putting that package in where I had to see another lady in that education office, and she said, "Hey, if I were you, I wouldn't just put pilot on there. I would put navigator on there too. Because what happens is if they don't take you as a pilot, they're just going to throw your package all the way out, and then you won't get the second round." And I remember telling her, if it's not pilot, I don't want nothing. So, okay, I'm just saying. And I only marked pilot on there. I had one shot. I only marked pilot. So when I got picked up as a pilot, what I wanted. What I'm saying to you, as we bring this to conclusion, I'm sorry we went over our time here, is that you want what you want. You focus on what you want, okay? Stop being dual-minded, because dual-minded does not serve you. Meaning, you say chairman in one instance, but your negativity keeps on bringing you back and bringing the things back you don't want, okay? You say, I'm going to make 6 figures, but then in the same breath, you say, well, I don't know if it's really going to work. You start having these doubts, right? We talk about the seed of faith, right? Seed of faith is the same as the seed of doubt, right? What can a mustard seed of faith do? They say it can move mountains. Well, guess what? A mustard seed of doubt can do. It could also move your goals out of your way, okay? It can bring the mountains back. And so often with our seeds of doubt, we bring the obstacles right back to us that we cannot overcome because we are putting the limitations right in front of us. So if you understand right now that you are your own limiting factor, everything that you ever want is on the other side of this mind right here of you thinking right through it and just doing the do. Everything that is around your fears are made up. It's false evidence of being real. Do you understand what we really mean? Like when we really look at the matrix for what it is, okay? The fears you create. I'm scared of dogs. Listen, folks, I was scared of dogs. How was I scared of dogs my entire life? Okay, let me just talk. Certain communities, we scared of dogs. Why are we scared of dogs, y'all? Yes, because it was probably used against us sometimes. It's in our DNA, okay? There's some stuff that goes with there. But at the end of the day, why is it still there? Because DNA, our mindset, we got to shake it out of our minds. We got to shake those things, okay? You're not scared of nothing. Because even in the Bible, it says, right, fear no man but God. Fear no thing but God, right? Fear no thing but you. Fear no thing but this, okay? Because this determines everything around you. That's what you should fear. Everything else, it's false evidence appearing real. The empty bank account, false evidence, okay? The bad marriage, false evidence, okay? The bad business, false evidence, okay? People not liking you, false evidence. People don't follow me, false evidence. I don't know if I have the credibility, false evidence, okay? False evidence. It's in the eye of the beholder. It's perspective. See, if I walk in a room with my chest out, my shoulders rolled back, what is your perception of me? You perceive me to be confident, don't you? But if I walk in with my shoulders crunched down, my head down, you perceive me to be meek and weak, don't you? So why don't we go ahead and put our posture up and we walk in that room like it's done, okay? With the credibility, with the status that it's already done. So now when you're walking out of the room, though as if it's already done, you're now already portraying the energy of a millionaire. Therefore, you're going to become a millionaire. And that is our time, folks. This is your time. In the fourth quarter, it is time to get what you came for. This is your time. Please, please, please read this book. Maybe you might not get it as you're reading it, but I promise you, whatever words come out of my mouth, whatever words come out of Wanda's mouth, I promise is what's supposed to lie on your ears. It is our time to create our external and not let our external create us. We create the legacies and not the other way around. So in everything that we do, let's continually leave a legacy. That's my time, folks. That's my call. Enjoyed you all. Let's go. Let's go. It is your time, y'all. It is it. It is your time. I hope that you got that talk. I hope that what you received today is that every thought, every feeling that you put out will become your reality, okay? Every thought, every feeling will become your reality. So be cautious of the feelings that you're putting out because that's what you're going to receive. You have the choice today, okay, to attract positivity all day long, even though your situation is bad. You have the power to grow your bank account from 0 to 1 million because you're grateful for what's already there. You're grateful for the sound mind. You're grateful for the skill that God has given you. You're grateful for the energy that God's given you. You're grateful for the environment that God's given you because He put you in position to win. And all you got to do is move and stay in motion and stay in motion. Everybody on this call, you're already qualified. Listen to me. You're already qualified. You don't got to prove nothing to me. You don't got to prove nothing to man. You got to prove something to God. You got to prove that He's great to you. And how do you prove that? You go walk in faith and know it's done. How confident are you walking now because it's already done? It's done. It's done. It's done. You guys have a blessed day. Let's go. Let's go to action. Don't let this talk go in vain, y'all. Let's go to action. Let's go to work. We got too much on the line right now. It's not about the money, okay? It's not about the money. It's about the change you're going to do for the next 10 generations, folks, okay? You're going to impact someone 100 years from now that you have never met before. And you just got to work and believe. Let's go. That's our time.